I used to work at a high school. Well, it was a ceiling tile contracting job.
Okay.
So there was one school we went to that was known to be rather haunted, as they said. Rather haunted. So our supervisor at the time actually used to work at that school. He was the head custodian back in the 90s. And there was this school, actually, it was in the 70s. It had Ottawa's first, school shooting. A sensitive subject, I know, but that happened. And so at the time that he was the head custodian, this was the 90s, but he still worked with some of the custodians that were there at the time.
Right.
And just a quick side story, they didn't have any cleanup crews, like major crime cleanup crews at the time, so the custodians had to
clean up the
they
mess.
were the ones that had to clean up the mess. It was not good. Anyway, so this fast forward to 20 years, he's the head custodian, night shift, all that. There's a basement area of this school, a little multi-purpose room with an office kind of attached with some windows. You can see from the multi-purpose into the office.
Right.
So one night, it was around midnight, he was doing his rounds, make sure all the doors are locked.
Dude, I'm already spooked.
Yeah, shutting the lights off, all that. Goes downstairs into the multi-purpose room and sees that not the multi-purpose room lights, but the office lights are on. So you can see that from the stairs, because halfway down the stairs there's a window overlooking the whole area.
Yeah.
So he saw that the lights were on, said, okay, might as well go shut them off. The teacher may have left them on. So he goes over, flicks the lights off, starts going back up the stairs. As he passes the window that's partway up the stairs, catches in the corner of his eye the lights back on in the office. And he thought, that's strange, because it's not a light switch that would no light switch just magically turns back on,
That's right.
So goes back down, shuts the light back off, goes up another time, and then by the time he makes it to that stairwell again, back to that window overlooking everything, lights back on again.
It's crazy that I have goosebumps right now.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. I was freaked out when he was telling me the story.
So he shuts it off again?
No, he said nope. He left. Yeah, he left. But he still had to work at this, he was still the head guy at the school.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I don't know how much time went by there, but this was the 90s, so I think they just started installing motion detectors in the school, just for security purposes. Some cameras as well, I think. And he, every now and then, he'd go home, right? And then maybe 1-2 in the morning, he had like a system, it was almost like a bleeper that was tethered to the alarm of the motion sensors. So he would...
The custodian?
Yeah. It was like when there'd be an absurd disturbance or something.
But like he
had like
security off duty.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's custodian.
I have no idea. So his thing would go off at 2-3 in the morning on like a Wednesday night or something like that, saying that the motion detectors are tripping and they're going. And so what he did is he knew there was another one of his workers lived nearby, so he called her up and said, hey, can you go check out if there's any doors unlocked or if anybody got in?
No thanks.
Well, she complied. So she decided to go. She went the first time, nothing to report. She walked the whole school, nothing going on. The very next week, same Wednesday, same time, it's about 2:30 in the morning, motion sensors going crazy. And so he calls her up again, and she says, okay, I'm bringing my husband this time. So the both of them, they end up going in, the worker and her husband. This is 3 in the morning at
If I were her, I'd be like, fuck you, dude. You're trolling my ass. But like,
yeah. And so he said, so go ahead and check it out. She went, checked it out with her husband, came back, nothing to report. Didn't say anything, right? So the next morning he got into work and he said, you know what? I've got a feeling I'm going to check the cameras, because there's a couple of cameras, right? There are the motion sensors and the cameras. Yeah. So he goes and checks the cameras, and he told me what he saw. He doesn't believe in much, but what he saw is what he saw. And that's when I got serious. I was like, okay, what are you going to say here? So the camera footage shows the main hallway, and he was watching them making their way down the hallway. And then all of a sudden, from behind a corner comes this like white... It's not like an orb, but it was like a figurine, a silhouette, but it wasn't dark. It was
Mr.
light,
Burns.
and it was just kind of floating. He could barely make out any human features or anything. Just making its way down the hallway, and it ended up catching up to the couple that was walking in the direction coming up from behind.
So he was checking the cameras from the night that they went.
Yeah,
Okay.
from the night before. Sorry, and so this orb or this figment of light just kept gaining on them, and the wife was a little bit, or the worker was a little bit ahead, and that orb went straight into the husband's back, stayed there a bit, and then came out of his chest. But when it went into his back, the husband, he was just walking, and as soon as it went into his back, he said he's never seen something like this before. As soon as it went into his back, the husband kind of stopped. He went like that, and he looked behind himself, and he was going like this, and you could see the wife kind of turn around and motion at him to keep coming along, and the orb came out of his chest and just went into a classroom, and they just kept walking. But they never told him about that, and he never asked because he didn't want to. But that's essentially the story of.
That's fucking wild,
it's not the best story, but it's a
pretty good
story. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it reminds me of another story of this girl who basically said her house here is like full of ghosts. She lives by Riverside.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I've never.
Spirits from the war and shit.
I've never had a paranormal experience in my entire life. Like I've tried, but I've gone to cemeteries, Ouija boards, all that, and nothing ever worked. But
you're trying to find ghosts, like.
Well, geez, I was trying to.
Because of that story you heard, you're like, oh shit, I gotta figure this out.
Well, I always tell people that, right? I've never had a paranormal experience, so I always like to listen to others, their paranormal experiences. So, I mean, if you have a little bit of time, I'm down to listen to yours, but
I don't have any, man, but like
you don't?
The ones that I do have are on the channel, so you
really?
check it out.
Okay. What is the channel called? I will type it in.
This is it right here.
RideLight.
What is that video called though? It's a better question. I live with dead people, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.